What's up everyone, Jimmy here from Base Game Reviews, and today we're checking out possibly one of the most hyped games for 2025. It smashed 10 million copies sold in its first month and shattered Steam charts with a peak of 1.3 million concurrent players. Capcom's latest beast-slaying juggernaut, Monster Hunter Wilds, is riding a ginormous hype wave. But is this all just fan copium? Let's dive into Monster Hunter Wilds and see if there's real substance behind those insane player stats. How I played. I played Monster Hunter Wilds via Steam for PC on my R7 7800X3D RTX 3080 gaming PC. I was playing on a modified high settings at 1440p with ray tracing disabled. Story, 16 out of 20. It was only a few years ago when I was exclusively a From Software only gamer who played a rotation of 3 titles: Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, and Dark Souls. And I specifically remember in 2020 when a friend tried to get me into Monster Hunter World. I bought the game on PlayStation, booted it up, and I probably put about 3 hours into it before I quit. I completely wrote off the game. So what was the problem? I hated that the boss battles were super long and drawn out, there was no boss health bars, and I despised chasing down enemies that kept fleeing from me. I also found the controls to be convoluted and clunky. So when I saw the first teaser trailer for Monster Hunter Wilds at the 2023 Game Awards, while I was only watching for an Elden Ring DLC trailer which didn't show, I thought to myself, do tons of people actually dig these games? As more details emerged and gameplay dropped, I got more intrigued. I recalled my Monster Hunter World experience and wondered, will I hate this one too? Then Capcom released a demo for Wilds. I jumped in to give it a spin. Being the soul spaz that I am, I picked a dual blade build. You know what? I actually liked my experience.
Did it because I liked it. Hell, I loved it.
The controls reminded me of Capcom's previous release, Dragon's Dogma 2, so I was kind of familiar with the loose jankiness. I was super conflicted about this game's release. I've never been into the Monster Hunter Legacy, and on the surface, it felt like a mashup of everything I despise in gaming. I was wrong. Mostly. It could just be the tweaks they made to welcome newcomers like me, but I'm genuinely stoked that I decided to play Monster Hunter Wilds and finish it. Monster Hunter Wilds kicks off with a cinematic to drop you into the story. We meet key characters, Nata, Alma, Fabius, and others, and get a sense of the main drive. Nata's people were attacked by a legendary monster. Out of survival, Nata escapes their village through a secret passage, while the others sacrifice themselves to ensure Nata's getaway. Our main crew then finds Nata passed out in the middle of the Monster Hunter Wilds world, dubbed the Forbidden Lands. It's decided that a hunter and a handler should tag along, help Nata return to their village, and uncover why the legendary beast went berserk. You're then whisked into the character creator to craft your custom hunter and palico. After that, you're thrown into a stunning, hype sequence where your character dives into danger to save a kid in peril. Absolute cinema, a killer way to introduce the world and your character. Cutscenes. The cutscenes in Monster Hunter Wilds are top notch. The RE engine flexes hard during these cinematics, and Capcom nailed the perfect length for them. I never got bored, since I'd be thrust right back into action after the cutscene ended. This is what I'm talking about. Use cutscenes to push the story, but respect the player and get them back into the gameplay as soon as possible. No fat, no fluff. Epic. The world building flows through the game's cinematics. You pick up extra bits of world information from NPC chatter and monster notes in the start menu. Still, I felt like a chunk of the lore assumes you're a longtime Monster Hunter vet. As a new player to the series, I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything major by not having played the previous games, so I assume there are some cool Easter eggs for longtime fans. Overall story. I've seen gripes that the story's too basic or short. For me though, it was exactly what it needed to be. Was it a Christopher Nolan level interstellar epic? Hell no. But was it campy, fun, and a solid ride between plot points? Yes. Not every game needs to be a convoluted, dialogue-heavy masterpiece. There's nothing wrong with a simple McDonald's value meal of a story, and that's what Capcom delivers with Monster Hunter Wilds. Graphics, 13 out of 15. Character models. All the characters in Monster Hunter Wilds look jaw-dropping. Capcom's always had slick-looking designs, and I'm here for it. There's a dope mix of diverse characters, all crafted with a killer blend of realism and high fantasy vibes. I legit enjoyed the Palico companions and the Wudwuds too. Their goofy expressions and random backwards dialogue had me cracking up. 10 out of 10 comic relief whenever the pace needed a breather. Environments. The mid-game open world desert can feel a bit meh, but Monster Hunter Wilds packs some varied biomes. After tweaking the graphic settings to ditch the washed out film grain and artificial contrast brightness boosts, I unlocked some gorgeous visuals. It really made certain zones pop. The environments are not truly next gen, but they've got their moments and vibe perfectly with the game's atmosphere. Special effects. The special effects in Monster Hunter Wilds are clutch. I loved how each monster's unique abilities popped off in their arenas. Lightning and fire effects look dope, same as they did in Dragon's Dogma 2, so no shock there. The weather system in open areas was also a nice touch. It amps up the visuals, especially during monster clashes. Capcom knows their craft. Audio, 13 out of 15. Ambience. I dig the chill moments in open areas, hearing wildlife all around. The music and background ambience ramp up perfectly to keep you locked in. Capcom crushed it with Monster Hunter Wilds' overall soundscape. Boss music. In one word, epic. It's not quite Final Fantasy or From Software tier, but it's damn close. Every boss has a unique track that synced perfectly with the fight and the vibe at that moment. I was hyped for each showdown with a colossal beast. It kept me pumped mid-battle. Sound design. The voice acting is excellent. I loved every character you meet in Monster Hunter Wilds. Even Nata, who most players find annoying, but I found they fit their role perfectly in my mind. Playing with solid headphones is a treat. You can pinpoint monsters and enemies around you. I don't know if it's good enough to do blindfolded, but it's still pretty good. I was also impressed by how much dialogue the player character gets. Picking and tweaking your voice is a dope touch. Maybe one day with AI we'll be able to record our own voice and then the game will just use our voice for the player character, but I'm just getting ahead of myself. Performance, 6 out of 10. Frame rate. I'm not sugarcoating this. The frame rate is trash for a game that looks and plays like this. Consoles barely hold 60 FPS in performance mode, probably with FSR and frame gen cranked. That's a joke. PC performance is a crapshoot depending on your rig. Seeing high-end setups struggle to hit 60 FPS is not a good look. It's also sketchy how hard the game pushes for frame generation. Frame gen's solid when you're starting above 60 FPS, but anything below that or near 30 FPS, it might boost the number, but the input lag will be fucking brutal. Dragon's Dogma 2 and Monster Hunter Wilds prove the RE engine isn't tuned for open world games. With Monster Hunter Wilds moving 10 plus million copies, I hope Capcom dumps some serious dev time in optimizing RE engine for future releases. Stability. I didn't hit any game-breaking bugs, but I had some weird graphical hiccups. Monster Hunter Wilds also chugs with frame rate and performance dips in busy zones. With all the issues reported across console and PC, I can't give it more than a 3 out of 5. Gameplay, 32 out of 40. Controls. The controls feel way tighter than Monster Hunter Worlds. They've still got that slippery vibe from Dragon's Dogma 2, but my inputs never felt laggy or off. Monster Hunter Wilds makes you feel like a beast when your charge attacks or combos land perfectly with a monster. So I definitely got a satisfying feeling when I was playing my character in Monster Hunter Wild. And that's all you can really ask for when it comes to controls. Mechanics. The Mount Edition in Monster Hunter Wilds is a game changer. Chasing monsters on foot in World was a slog. So having a ride that autopilots you to the action, amazing. The new wounds mechanic is a blast too. It's borderline OP, but going into focus mode and shredding wounds for massive stagger damage felt so badass. Pacing. The pacing in Monster Hunter Wilds is nuts. I braced for long exposition dumps and lame tutorial sections with restricted movement. Nope, none. You go hunt the monster, then you get a pretty cutscene, then BAM! You are fighting another monster. Let's f***ing go. Seriously, more studios need to take notes of this masterclass of cutscene to gameplay ratio. Kudos Capcom. UI UE. The UI is decent but still feels cluttered. Monster Hunter games pack deep mechanics. Sure, but basic functions didn't click intuitively for me. The tutorials helped me grip the controls and systems a little bit better, but I still ended up having to YouTube for like how-to vids on stuff like how to replenish healing items or how to trap monsters. Boss quality. Pure cinematic gold. Every boss, even the smaller mini bosses, had killer intros and wicked movesets. I get that monsters repeat across the series, so maybe their moves are recycled from past games, but as a first timer, I had a total blast taking on these epic beasts. Enemy variety. They nailed it. Each biome has its own crew of mini monsters to farm for materials. Nothing felt stale, it all stayed fresh for me. Gameplay variety. You're basically hopping from hunt to hunt. Post-game opens up more to boost your hunter rank with repeat boss fights and crafting gear and weapons. There are minor fetch quests for exploration, but they stick close to the core loop. But you can go fishing, so there is that. Replayability. Capcom's post-launch support for Monster Hunter games is unreal. I beat it launch week, and a month later, they've already dropped a free content update with more on the way. There might be paid DLC down the line, like with Monster Hunter World's Iceborne, but for many fans, the real game kicks in after the credits. There's a ton of replay value, tweak builds, test new weapons, all from a single save file. I love that. Bonus, 2 out of 3. There are some great colorblind and audio cue options in the accessibility settings of Monster Hunter Wilds. I was quite surprised because I feel like Dragon's Dogma 2 was quite light on the accessibility options. Overall, 82 out of 100. Great. Monster Hunter Wilds is a pedal to the metal action thrill ride that any newcomer can vibe with. Capcom's done gamers a solid by reminding us what a great game feels and plays like. With its wild success, 10 million copies sold in a month, hopefully they'll juice up their RE engine and run smoother on mid-tier and entry-level rigs. This is Jimmy from Base Game Reviews, and the Guild gives you permission to go grab Monster Hunter Wilds and start hunting.